a little time in talking about the 15 key elements for a successful career. But what I want you to know is that in my mind, this is about leadership, but it can apply to almost anything. I've shared it with my son that's a senior vice president with Regions. I've shared it with my other son that's a tax lawyer. I've shared it with my stepson who is a state bank examiner. These are the elements that, if used properly, will help anybody have a successful career, but more importantly, it will help you as a leader to help others to be as good as they can be. Once again, Webster. Leadership, the office or position of a leader, capacity to lead, the act or an instance of leading. That sounds like the job description of President Bullard. I can't understand all that. So, Martin Luther King said that a genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. I am a consensus builder in my organization, as Bob knows. However, I can also, when I can't get a consensus, be a benevolent dictator. Harold Geenan said leadership cannot really be taught. It can only be learned. And this is my favorite, I think, John Maxwell. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. To me, that means a leader is someone that's willing to walk the talk. Even Napoleon got into it, and he said a leader is a dealer in hope. And when there is nothing else, that's what a leader must do, provide hope. Another one of my favorites, Sam Walton. Outstanding leaders go out of their way to boost. You did change that. It said boast at one time. Boost the self-esteem of their personnel. If people believe in themselves, it's amazing what they can accomplish. Well, let me tell you, the most important job a leader has is helping others believe in themselves. And you just can't imagine how wonderful it is when you have an associate out there that's done something good and you walk up to them and you say something to them. It's just like you gave them a huge raise. It's even more important than money. You know, the best that I can summarize leadership is this, and I wish it was not author unknown. I wish I had said it. The character of the leader is the destiny of the pack. And what we all need to remember, as we lead, they will follow. So we better get it right, because if we don't, they're going to be doing the same things. So let me move into these 15 key elements, and I'm going to start off by telling you there's no rocket scientists here. No rocket science here. What I tried to do is to sit down and say to myself over the last 42 years, what have I learned from experience? What have other people told me that have helped me and that I can, in fact, leave with some younger bankers? And it turns out that I've left this with a lot of young people throughout, not just in banking. So if it seemed real simplistic, it is. The first one is make sure your moral and ethical standards are aligned with those of your employer. Now, one could say you had to get that right out of college, but it's not so. Wherever you are in your career as a leader or as someone just starting it, the most important decision that you will make is all about the moral and ethical standards of yourself, number one, and number two, the people you work for. And I've told people, whether it's one of our banks or us or whoever it is, if you're not comfortable with it, you go find someplace else until you are comfortable. Life's too short. It is first, it is foremost. It's the beginning and it's the end. It's the one thing that we must get right, starting with ourselves. Because when we become leaders, all of those other people are going to look at us as the right way to do it. I like to say this is a little bit, there's a quote, ethics is knowing the difference between what you have a right to do and what is the right thing to do. And it's very important to understand that. It's all about the loopholes to do right rule. And that's one of the first things that I told my kids when they went off to school. Just follow the do right rule. And somebody asked me, how do you know when it's right or when it's not? And my answer was that your heart and your gut will tell you, because it's all the things that your mothers and fathers and grandparents taught you. If it's right, pursue it. If it's not and you don't feel good about it, you stop until you do feel good about it. That doesn't just apply to the new associates. It applies to us as leaders. The second area is work ethics. And you'll notice the sign is good habits and bad habits. You want to be on the good habits side, but it's easy to get on the other side. Winston Churchill said, a pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity, and an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. working hard and doing the best you can do as often as you can do it allows you to create good habits. Lead by example. Don't wait for someone else to do it, nor don't wait for somebody else to tell you to do it. If it needs to be done, we as leaders need to show the way. And if we show the way, it's amazing what happens with those people that work with us. So work hard even when others are not looking. And that is a pretty good litmus test. Now this is most appropriate for all of y'all. Seems like I've seen that money somewhere before. I think it's downstairs. But as I like to say to anybody that will listen, don't worry about money. And sometimes we have to teach that. Most of you have probably gotten used to that by now. But sometimes we have to teach it. And what I'm saying here is that if you look at this quote by Steve Wozniak, co-founder with Steve Jobs of Apple, my goal wasn't to make a ton of money, it was to build good computers. And what I like to say is just don't worry about the money. Now that's kind of an overstatement because we all have to make a living and we all have to take care of our families. And so we do worry about it too. But don't let it be a passion. As I like to tell our associates, and that's what good leaders need to do, remind them to work hard. The money will follow. I guarantee it. In my career, I never one time felt like I had to go ask for a raise. And I started my job at $750 a month. And that was $50 more because I had a master's degree. But I loved what I did. And over a period of a time, my wife just reminded me that she read my salary in the newspaper, and I've been lying to her for 16 years. It does take care of itself. Just remember, you're learning a lot. We're teaching people good things to be, and they're going to benefit from that. The fourth thing is to eliminate the personal pronoun I that I talked about a little bit ago from your vocabulary and replace it with we. Gandhi says, my grandfather once told me that there were two kinds of people, those who do the work and those who take credit. He told me to try to be in the first group. There was much less competition. I think that's right. A friend of mine who's no longer living told me that in life there are givers and there are takers. And it is true. And we want to make sure that we are givers, and we want to make sure we're teaching others to do the same. To me, this is so important because it is all about teamwork. You know, when you talk in terms of I did this or I did that, your other team members hear that. It impacts them. It needs to be about we. We need to all pull on that same rope in the same direction at the same time, and we can accomplish a whole lot of things. And we don't have to tell anybody. They see it. The fifth area is lift others up, or lift up others. Andy Rooney said, I've learned that just one person saying to me, you've made my day, makes my day. And again, think about what you would do in a particular situation. If you weren't working for the Fed, but you were working for a family business, and you had other people working with you, and they happened to be family, you would be lifting them up. I think it's so very important to identify your stars and challenge them to be willing to do other things when they are needed. I think it's also very important to identify others that have a lot of potential but have not yet arrived, and to go to those people, if they're a part of you or your group, help develop a plan to really make them better. Help them be as good as they can be. Maybe they can't be a star, but lift them up and help them be as good as they can be. Sixth is be willing to sacrifice by being flexible. Franklin Roosevelt said, do something. If it works, do more of it. If it doesn't, do something else. Well, I wish I'd have read this a long time ago. But it truly is about when you're flexible, you not only give yourself the best opportunity to succeed, but you also give those that are around you. I've told people in our organization that we have lots of opportunities in Missouri and in Kansas and in other places, but a lot of them don't want to leave where they are. They don't have that flexibility. If they did, we would remember it, value it, and their opportunities would be great. It's something we need to teach people that we work with. Be flexible. When we have a need, step up and do it. Also, as a leader, remember that every good idea is not your idea. Be flexible in listening to others. And sometimes, even when it's not the best idea, be flexible and use it anyway. And you'll be amazed at what happens. Number 7, volunteer for the jobs that other people don't want to do. Luke 16:10 says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Another quote says, don't ever question the value of volunteers. Noah's Ark was built by volunteers, and the Titanic was built by professionals. Volunteer, get involved, make a difference. You represent the Federal Reserve of St. Louis, but you also represent St. Louis. When you get involved and you get your folks involved, you are serving this community that serves us well. This is one of my pet peeves. Never let yourself get caught up in the gossip train. You notice that these are 3 men over here on the gossip side. Don't participate. Don't tolerate and educate. Just remember, it's a waste of time, effort, energy, and people get hurt. And even if it's not the person they're talking about that gets hurt, what if it's a family member, a child? And once the damage is done, it cannot be taken back. A good leader won't participate, won't tolerate, and will do what's necessary to educate. I forgot my quote. Henry Ford said, "Don't find fault, find remedy." Number 9 is to treat others the way you want to be treated. In our organization, we believe the cornerstone to a community bank's success, other than good asset quality, is good quality customer service. And the cornerstone to good QCS, in our opinion, is treat others the way you want to be treated when you are the customer. Show courtesy, show respect. I always say, treat others the way you want your grandkids to be treated, and I guarantee you that will get it at a high level. Number 10, never compromise your principles. I'm missing those quotes, aren't I? It is who you are, so protect it with everything that you have. Don't do something for money, for promotion, for fame. Just make sure the road that you travel is one that is not built around instant success, because in the end, it will always cost you. Your principles are more important than any asset that you have. Oliver Wendell Holmes said a man is usually more careful of his money than of his principles. Don't let that be you or the people who work with you. Number 11, make a difference. When I came to Simmons 26 years ago, Mr. Lewis Ramsey and Mr. W. Ayers, who was on the Federal Reserve Board at that time, 1987, I think, met with me, and they said, You know, Tommy, we have a huge responsibility other than just lending money. It's in the communities we serve. We want to invest and we want to reinvest in those communities. We truly want to make a difference. In this Chinese proverb you've all heard, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man that 2 fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Making a difference in your community. Others see what you're doing, and they too want to make a difference. They told me, don't let our folks do it and just hope that the newspaper will pick it up. Don't give our money or reinvest our money in those communities in hopes that it will appear on TV. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing without anybody knowing it. Whether it's your home or your church or your community or your business. We want all of our Federal Reserve associates to be the go-to person. We want them to come to us to get involved, to make a difference because they know we will lead. Number 12, never try to make yourself look good at the expense of others. Earlier, we talked about the do-right rule. This quote, a good leader takes a little more than his share of the blame and a little less than his share of the credit. If there's one thing that we can learn as leaders, it would be that. Do it for the right reason. Recognize those people that have really worked hard and need that credit. And just be glad that you had the opportunity to lead them. Number 13 is just be yourself. Ralph Waldo Emerson says to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. To me, when you do things for yourself because it's the right thing to do, you will keep getting better and so will others around you. You know your strengths better than anyone. You know your weaknesses better than anyone. So focus on those to accentuate the positives. Do what you do best. Make it work for others. And mitigate your weaknesses. But just be yourself. Remember that it is what got you your job in the first place, not being someone else. Number 14. Get life's priorities in the right order. And this is huge in my life. I had my priorities right, but I did not have them in the right sequence. For years, it was job, family, and faith. 80% job, 15% family, 5% faith. As a result, on a scale of 1 to 10, my leadership was a 6. My productivity was probably a 7. And my happiness was a 5. After a period of time, I got it right. Faith, family, and job. And from time to time, you have to devote more to one than another. But if you're capable of rebalancing, the results will be leadership 9, productivity 9, happiness 9, and the only thing from a 10, I don't know, I made that up. Just don't let it get out of balance. But when it does, just move to get it back where it needs to be. And lastly, well, I got another quote. Lee Iacocca, to succeed today, you have to set priorities, decide what you stand for. The final thing that of the 15 is to live every day like it's your last. And I mean this. Measure the events on a life scale. Put things in perspective. You know, as I say, if you live every day like it's your last, and it turns out that you're wrong, you will have excelled as a leader, as a parent, as a spouse, and as a friend. And you will be happy. If it turns out that you're right, you will have left an unbelievable legacy. I choose to get up every morning in a good mood, except, Roy, when Arkansas loses, which has been very frequently. Sometimes you get up in a good mood and you have to fake it. But if you do it enough, it will become a part of you. And when you do, and you share it with others, the amazing thing is that it's contagious. As I said earlier, tomorrow, find somebody that works with you or for you or even for somebody else. Find them doing something that's good and compliment them. You just can't imagine how you're going to make their day. And they, in turn, will probably do it for somebody else. Do something good anonymously. Not because you have to or for credit. Just do it because it feels good and you want to. And you're going to feel awfully good. Find someone that you don't like. Just don't tell them. Say something nice to them. Find someone who has a real need and help them all for all the right reasons. You know, I said that my journey has many crossroads, and I've asked, is this my last crossroads? And I don't think so. I think that God has lots of things left for me to do. And I think being here is one of those. I will leave you on the back of your sheet. Watch your thoughts. They become words. Watch your words. They become actions. Watch your actions. They become habits. Watch your habits. They become character. Watch your character. It becomes your destiny. Thank you all. And Julie, thank you for having me. And good luck tomorrow. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Tommy. I think you can see why I've always felt that Tommy was one of the really great directors that we've ever had here at the St. Louis Fed, and we really appreciate your words of wisdom tonight, and they're very inspirational. And Dave was down in the vault earlier.
Don't worry about money.
We got this in a velvet purple package. Some of the paper that's down there's not worth that much. It's something pretty heavy, so I'm not quite sure what he came up with, but this
Well,
is for you.
thank you very much. Let me put it right here. Oh my goodness. How beautiful this is. I've got 5 grandkids and they all love trophies, so they're going to be fighting. I won't let them have this one. Thank all of you, and I hope I didn't bore you too much, and I hope I didn't keep you too late. Go home, tell somebody you love them, get up tomorrow in a good mood. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it.
Very, it was really good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank,